Alright. On the bench here is a Kenmore 158 1757 0. So 17571, 171, 17572, kind of the same thing. This is a 2-belt drive Kenmore with an idler pulley, and as you can see, all this stuff is laid out on the bench. This machine came in with these belts in it, which are obviously very cracked and shot. Let's see, this one says Alpha So 1314. I don't know, can't really read that one. This one is an Alpha So 1112. Not real sure they were in there. They seem to be working. I believe this machine would have come with the double tooth belt, tooth inside and tooth outside, but I have matched these two belts with an MB 290 and an MB, what is this one stamped? Oh, this one's not stamped. Alright. Oh, and this one already has a cut on the edge. Alright, I need to find a replacement for this one already. One of the problems with getting super cheap belts is sometimes they're already got a cut on the side and are maybe going to fail. But I'll get another one of these when we get to putting the belts in. First things first, this is the idler, sprung idler pulley assembly. When it sits in the machine, it looks like this, because it's going to spring down from the hand wheel. First belt springs pulled down, and then the second belt goes down to the motor. And the reason I have this apart is because this idler pulley was jammed on the spindle here and very tight. And when I peered down through the top of the machine, I could see that the nut holding it on the back of the machine was, or on the jam nut that's supposed to be on the back here was loose as well. So there's a E-clip on this post, and then there's the red fiber washer. And when this assembles, it doesn't actually have room for you to, it's very hard to pop this E-clip off, but you can do it if you don't want to remove, or if the design of the machine you have doesn't allow this bracket to come out. But so E-clip, red fiber washer. Since we're reassembling this, I took it apart and cleaned it. To get all the goo out, because these idler pulleys will, get full of goop and old oil, and then this idler pulley can lock up and cause the machine to not run very well. And then there's another fiber washer there, and then this is a spare washer, and that washer goes on like so. So it's E-clip, fiber washer, belt pulley, fiber washer, metal washer. And this post is threaded and threads into the hole on the bracket. And you'll note that the slotted screws match on this bracket, and that's how you can tell which way to put this piece back in from. So screw this in, and I had that lined up with the fiber washer and the plain washer in place on the shoulder there, but then they slipped down, so I gotta shake it until they're back in place. And then this tightens down, and there's a shoulder on this post, and it should tighten against the shoulder, and that is spinning real nice. And then this lock nut is what I saw on the back that was just sort of flapping in the wind. So, and that lock nut just barely tightens up. And then when I took this bracket out, the lock nut here on this pivot screw was also loose, so I had to tighten both of these lock nuts. Alright, so this bracket is now ready to go back in. Alright, we put our idler pulley bracket back together here, and it needs to get remounted in this chassis. The different models have a different mounting system for this bracket. This bracket on this machine, the 1757, is 2 screws here on the back of the frame. So just to get these 2 screws in, and this just has to get tightened up because the whole bracket, the whole wheel here moves. And got our 2 new belts. I replaced that one that I saw had a cut in it. This is an MB340 and the MB290 that matched the old belts. And the short belt for the motor was this 290, goes down below. And then the upper belt is this 340. And on this particular model, you have to install this upper belt with the hand wheel at the same time as the end cover. So we get our hand wheel, end cover put together. I'm actually gonna take this belt off and hook it on there. Now that we've hooked it on the idler pulley, we can lift it and pop it on the hand wheel, and then lift the hand wheel in place. All right, so that idler pulley was all loose in there. I need to oil the hand wheel clutch area. There we go. So we got our 2 belts in place. It's all sprung up, and I'm gonna put the screws in to retain this cover. All right, 2 screws retain this cover. Hand wheel is in place with our top belt, and our idler pulley is sprung with our bottom belt in place. And here's the secret to these. The motor has the tension bracket on it, and it gets pulled down, and I replaced the belts that were in this machine. However, I have this belt, I have this motor bracket pulled as far as it goes. Okay. It feels like we got enough tension on the belts, but I'm thinking, yeah, that bracket is completely down. I think I need a shorter belt for the motor. This is the 290. I'm going to grab a 280. Even though the 290 is what was in there, I'm going to put a 280 on the bottom here because this bracket is pulled all the way down, so there's no room to tighten it properly. I'm going to get a 280 and trade that out. But that's the secret to these two-belt machines, is that you go underneath them, and this is obviously a cabinet machine, and you loosen the motor bracket, slide it all the way up, and when the motor bracket slid up, the sprung idler pulley is allowed to release the tension, and that's how you slide your hand wheel out. Because otherwise, if you forget to loosen that motor bracket, you have tension on your hand wheel, and that makes it so you can't get the hand wheel to slide off with this end cover. So and then because there's two belts in there, when you get tension, yeah. So I'm gonna get a smaller belt to go on here. If I open the belt, then that would help. Actually, let's see if I've got. Is this? No, that's not a good idea. I was like, maybe I'll shorten the upper belt, but I'm gonna look for a shorter bottom belt here. What size is this? Right, this is the 300. Okay. Okay, found a pair of belts that fit in this machine, and I'm turning the hand wheel now, and the idler pulley is in the middle here, carrying the tension between the belts, and I pulled down on the motor until this belt was deflecting about half an inch or so, and then I tighten this bracket, and this there's a bit more motion. So before, when I had the two loose belts on it, this bracket was that much further down, and now it's a little bit above the center of its travel. If I loosen this up a bit, I can really haul on it and get it down, but I'm just pulling it snug when I tighten it. Also just tightening it with the screwdriver. I use the wrench to loosen things, but when you're doing these, it's also convenient. You can just set them on the table here and loosen it and kind of let the weight of the motor tension the belts. Obviously that's hard to see with the camera, but there we go. That is how to get the double belt on a Kenmore loosened up and installed. So the secret is going underneath and loosening the motor, and that's what releases tension on both belts so that you can get your hand wheel off.